I don't know how to intro this. Welcome back to another video that is not our usual style. We saw these tier rankings, and Evan and I both being the kind of folks that love to look at stats on baseball cards, this really piqued our interest. So we're going to be rating the worst games of all time from S tier to F tier. Best of the worst. Evan, what do you have to say about this? What are your predictions?
I really think that Earthbound is the worst game of all time. So obviously, I am a little biased, and this is gonna be a nightmare.
All right. Well, speaking of bias, we're gonna start with the classic game Darkest of Days, which we did review. It's a time travel FPS.
Oh.
I thought it was kind of a neat idea, poorly executed, very few achievements. There's reason to play it, I think. I'm not gonna.
The Holocaust scene in the middle is inexcusable. It is one of the worst things.
It's not bad. It's just tone deaf. I think that anybody who goes, yeah, let's arm the Holocaust folks, is missing the point. I'm gonna say C tier. What do you say?
Well, I would say F tier.
F
so
tier.
Let's compromise for D.
Darkest of Days goes to D tier. All right. Up next, Turning Point: Fall of Liberty, the Codemasters game about Nazis who have taken over America. Very bland shooter, very uninspired. I think the silliness of the cutscenes makes me laugh. It's an incredibly tedious game that I hate to say that I beat all the way through and that I own.
There was a time when you were playing it that you were like, "This is unplayable," and you were furious at it. And I was like, this doesn't look that bad at all. I played way worse for episodes. And you're like, no, this is the worst game I've ever played.
It's not that it's like egregiously bad. It's just so bland. I think when we talked about the script for this episode, what came up the most is that you just kept saying, Dakota, you're not saying anything. You're just saying it's bland and repetitive. And I'm like, yes, but that's all there is to it. Like, we shouldn't have reviewed it. It was a bad review because there's just nothing to it, and I think that the fact that there's nothing to it and it's not well optimized puts it in the F tier. What do you say?
Bonus points for that Michael Giacchino score, who did Rogue One and Star Trek, and my favorite film score of all time, The Incredibles. So, I'm saying C.
You're saying C tier? I'm absolutely...
Yeah, maybe even B.
I'm saying E tier. The score is unnoticeable.
Oh, there's an E. Yeah, if there's an E tier, I should put it there.
Yeah. All right.
E for excellent.
All right. Now for the Room of Games. Ride to Hell Retribution 1%. I don't know about you, but anybody who puts out a review of this, I am immediately watching it. It doesn't matter how terribly put together this game is. I still want to play it. I definitely think it's so bad it's good.
This is like when people start getting into like bad video games, this is the one that they always gravitate towards. It's like the same thing. Yeah, it is the Room of video games where people are like, dude, I just saw this really bad movie. It's called The Room. And you're like, yeah, everybody's seen that. Everybody's seen somebody play it. But yeah, I'd say S.
I'll agree. S tier for sure. Now we got Leisure Suit Larry Box Office Bust. The last game in the Leisure Suit Larry series before it got remastered, the original one. I'm putting it on E tier, just for the name.
Just for the name, all right.
Just for Sierra, because I miss Sierra. Next one up, the big boy of the group, Iron Man, the first game.
Ooh, this is the Xbox and PS2 one that I have played a shameful amount. A lot of these were Sega developed or published, and I remember really liking this. I think I might have bought this day one. This is one of the last PS2 games I had, for sure.
This one's gonna be a strong contender on this list, but I think if you were to go back and play it today, you would not find the same thing.
No, because I remember that it was like open battlefield, and so you would have like Jesus, I'm gonna make this comparison. You would have like, you know, in like the Phantom Pain, where that's kind of just like this sandbox that you can mess around in, and then there would be like objectives within that instead of just being like a straightforward linear game. And so like one of them would be like basically the helicarrier, and you could like fly around it and like explore it while at the same time like completing the objectives and like beating the enemies. And so I thought that was cool.
Okay, fair point. But what I'm hearing you say is that Iron Man is just as good as Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. Put it on the records. Evan said it. Tell Kojima that his game is just as good as the first Iron Man video game, and ruin our credibility on Twitter for us. Thank you. Where are you going to put this one?
I've looked ahead at the rest of the list, and a lot of these are Sega games, and I think Sega's going to get a real kicking in this episode. So we're going to give him an S. I'll
agree with you since I haven't played this game, and Iron Man seems to be a soft spot in your heart.
It really is.
Which there aren't many of those in Evan's heart, if you could tell by his reviews. Boom. All right, anyway, moving on. Shaq Fu is next. The Legend Reborn. We'll both be talking about the Sega Genesis game, or Super Nintendo as well, and the new release. I have the original SNES one, because you pressured me into buying it.
No, that definitely wasn't me.
It's bad. I think it's more sad that Shaq Fu couldn't come back and be like, hey guys, we have the technology to make this better, and we're gonna try and make this better, and then immediately fail at that. I think that's possibly one of the most disgusting acts of trying to make a game that was originally garbage, still garbage. Like, it just solidifies Shaq Fu as a game that should never have been made.
I just remember that when you put this into your like Retron 5 emulator, you put it in there and it was like, do you want to boot up this game? And you said yes, and it went, are you sure? And you were like, yes. So
I'm gonna say
F
tier, easy F.
This is like peak Shaq 2, and so I think that's even worse.
All right, we're gonna roll around at the speed of sound here with Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 06 as it's better called, or Loading Screen Simulator, whatever you want to call it. This game, I think, is the lowest point in all of Sonic's history. I mentioned in my Sonic movie wish list that this game tried too hard to be good in terms of like being taken seriously. And Mario's other than like the Mario movie has never really been tried to be serious, and I think that Sonic trying to be serious was a major misstep for not only the character but the franchise as a whole, because what you get are stages and I guess overall mechanics that are just not needed.
I think that Sonic 06 is such a product of like Sonic in general is like this product of like 90s extreme attitude, and like the early 2000s are kind of like earnest and weird and like the Bush years and gritty and just
they're trying to be Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Sure.
That's what sold.
I'll give you that. And I think that that's almost like a bigger crime, is just like to so much misunderstand like what Sonic is.
I think the more egregious issue with this game is the poor use of the medium. Like, I've watched the Game Grumps play through this, and I can guarantee that 1/3 of their playthrough was them talking over loading screens. It is that prevalent in the game that if you are playing on the computer, you have to download a mod to optimize this game, and that is the only way to play it at this point. I say immediate F tier. We're going from Sonic to Sonic. Let's go Shadow the Hedgehog.
This is probably the only 3D Sonic game that I have played through multiple times, and I think that when we talk about movies and when we talk about games, a lot of what we talk about it being bad is better than it being boring. And so much of it is just gray, stale, just like misunderstood and like product of its time kind of thing, where you're like, oh dude, you know what's really in right now? Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance. Let's make Sonic do that. and you're like,
I could see a Sonic X Fallout Boy crossover. I don't know why that didn't happen, and I'm pissed that it didn't.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that this game is at least playable, and it at least has a story. So I would go D.
The Simpsons Skateboarding. I think that this is easily the worst skateboarding game of all time. And I'm sad to say that because I feel like it should have been like the Simpsons Hit and Run, but with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater in mind.
Isn't this before Hit and Run?
My big problem with this is that it follows the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater brand, but it does it so slowly. So it's not the cartooning action, but it's the same button presses. So it's like they've slowed down Tony Hawk. And other than the fact that you want to like it because it's Simpsons, doesn't make it good. And that's why I say E tier.
I'll give you E tier.
Speaking of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, we've got THPS 5. I fucking hate this game. It's like that person who promises you everything and then leaves your life immediately. Just like that time that my dad went to get cigarettes. I'm just disappointed, mad. There was so many promises. It could have been good. Just kidding, my dad didn't do that. That was a little goof. Sorry if your dad did that, but Tony Hawk's Pro Skater did that to me. I was expecting a lot after 4 and after all the missteps of the other games. I thought 5 was going to be a return to form. I think my least favorite part of all of this, some of my favorite current skaters are just thrown under the fucking bus with this game and just tarnishes the THPS franchise, and it's the last game. Activision is done with it. It's never coming back. I honestly, I think skateboarding games are dead, even though everyone and their brother wants Skate 4 to come out. So like, I think that this killed skateboarding games. Okay, all right. Where are we putting this one?
I'll say, what's the E. We'll do E.
E tier. All right, you saved Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Yeah.
I think you watched me play this next one, but Universal Studios, the theme park game, where it's just a bunch of mini games and you run around the theme park and do butt fuck all.
This is just like one of the worst games I've ever seen. It's like guy game bad. Like it's, I don't know. It's just not even a game.
It's one of those games that gives you free roaming abilities and makes you think that there's like stuff to do in it, but then when you try and do stuff, it's like, oh, by the way, you need to do this before it, and then you go to do whatever that past task was, and it just goes, oh, by the way, you have to do this other thing, and you're just following this breadcrumb trail of whatever the hell you were supposed to do, and it leads you to this trivia game that you can't beat unless you look up a walkthrough or you just play it so many times that you're just done with it. Like,
yeah, there were like hundreds of trivia questions, and they were all like,
we tried to play this.
Yeah, like we're really movie people.
We love movies, and we couldn't solve all these riddles. Like they were, it was just. I'm saying easy F tier.
Yeah, easy F tier. Easy F. This is one of the worst on the whole list.
It was like, I bought this for the GameCube. I thought it would be funny. It wasn't. I don't even know what to say about this next one. But Deal or No Deal for the DS. Why does this exist? Like, I know that doing popular TV show games is like almost a surefire moneymaker, but Deal or No Deal has no strategy. You're picking shit at random and hoping that you get money.
These money-based games, like video games, just have so little stakes because it's like once you're done with it, it resets, and like you don't have any stats that carry over from game to game. You don't have anything that really like makes you go, oh, I don't know, man, what if I get this wrong? Like you're just automatically like putting it all in.
Some of the Wii games do let you use the money that you win, like to customize your character, but all the animation and character models are so grotesque that there's no point in doing that.
Yeah, it always goes to some like B-tier studio too, and you always feel really bad.
What are we saying for Deal or No Deal?
You know, I was pretty hard on it. I think that it's a pretty good B. I think that a good party game, a pretty good party game.
This isn't a party game. This is a game you play on your own, on a handheld. It's the DS game. Like, you're playing this on your own. There's no one else around you.
It's not my fault you're not a competitive Deal or No Deal player.
All right, you're putting it in the B?
I'm putting it in the B.
You're okay. I'm saying E category. So where do we split the difference? C or D?
C. Let's just put it C.
C.
I can't. Yeah,
okay.
C. Yeah.
It's just unfortunate shovelware at this point. Charlie's Angels. It's like the pinnacle of this game shouldn't have existed. It's just so notoriously bad, and when you play it, you feel why. You play it. It's not one of those bad games where you're like, let's see where this goes. It's you play it and you go, ew, I'm done.
Yeah,
like it doesn't look good, it doesn't sound good, it doesn't play well. It's not even like ironically bad.
Yeah, it's like unfinished, which is just just don't release it then. Like that's just insulting because some little kid who's like, I love Charlie's Angels is gonna walk up and he's gonna be like, Mommy, Mommy.
Whoa, hold on. What kid is playing have you ever watched an episode of Charlie's Angels? This is definitely not a game for kids. This is definitely not a game for the target demographic. This is a game that just didn't need to exist. I think it's funny just to watch like other YouTubers talk about it and review it. I'm gonna say E tier, just for the fun that it has produced.
All right, that's fair. I'll give you that.
Boy, oh boy, have I been waiting to talk about this one for quite a long time. It's the PlayStation and Xbox hit classic Fight Club. I've written 5 different reviews for this. The last one was really good, and we just never found time to film it when we all lived together.
You're just like in a perpetual state of it being 19 pages long, and all of us having jobs.
It was very long.
You're gonna give this an S, and I'm gonna be so mad.
I'm definitely looking to give this an S because hold on. Let me speak my case. It had the potential. If it nailed the fighting mechanics, got rid of the story mode, this could have been good. This could have been very good. The online multiplayer aspect of it was super cool. If they could have nailed that online multiplayer aspect and gotten rid of the BS storyline and done like little touches, like there's enough of the Tekken fight pool to make this game good. It's less of a game that's just poorly made and more so that it's a bunch of disappointment that it isn't made well.
I think that it's probably most egregious that it is a Fight Club in all caps game. And so you're like, oh, Fight Club, this scathing endorsement of capitalism. And then you're like, oh, this is just a cheap cash-in? Yeah, I don't know. I think that you're too close to it.
That is fair. I do have a lot of Stockholm syndrome for this game. Yeah. I'm gonna say S tier, and we're gonna have to split the difference. Where are you putting this one?
I'm gonna say F tier because I think this is terrible. F
tier? Can we put it in
I think
B tier?
It
has a lot of ideas. It tried to be good. It has Abraham Lincoln as a fightable character. We have to give it props for that. I think
D.
You're gonna say a D. All right, so we split it at B, because I still say
we'll split it at B.
Next up is Bruce Lee's Quest of the Dragon. Bruce Lee, one of the quintessential figures in the Kung Fu movie scene, has never, other than a brief cameo in certain games, has had a good game. The Sega Genesis game is utter garbage, and this one does an even worse job of that. It's like when you're promised like a bologna sandwich that's done by Gary Busey. You're excited because you think that Gary Busey has made you a sandwich, but in reality, it's just a shitty bologna and cheese sandwich.
No, it's like 2 pieces of bread and a dead possum in the middle. You're just
he doesn't even get the concept of what ham is.
Yeah, you're like looking at it and you're like, I don't know what I expected. Gary Busey cooked me this bologna sandwich, and he's like, that's bologna, right? And you're like,
yeah,
sure,
that's
crazy
bologna.
Person. Please leave. You're
he's
breathing
just
on my
screaming over your shoulder. I hope you enjoy this. I'm saying E tier, but don't worry, we've got a good name that's coming up. Bubsy's Woolly Strikes Back. I'm just gonna lump all Bubsy games in with this because I don't think there's ever been a good Bubsy game, and that's the sign of a good mascot when they don't stop even though all of their games are shit. You gotta give it to the man. It's just so mind-blowing. Like, Accolade's looking for anything to become their mascot, to be like, hey guys, we're a developer with a mascot, so you have to pay us more. And everybody's like, wait, aren't you the guys that made Bubsy? Oh, yeah, we're gonna pay you less for this third-party title that we want. I'm saying, for the whole Bubsy franchise, I'm giving them a C for trying. For the fact that Bubsy can come back in, like, what, 2016 or 17 and still be somewhat relevant of an IP, I have to respect that alone.
I agree.
Dick Marcinko's Rogue Warrior. Oh my god, I fucking love this game. Little bit of a backstory before we get into this. This was a game that I watched the Inside Gaming guys, who are now Funhouse. I watched them play through it all. I loved it so much that I went out and bought it for my PS3. I beat it on my own, before the channel was even a thing. And then junior year of college, I made Evan play it. He played through half of it. We both wrote the script, and then I played through it an entire time again just to get footage. I've played this game 3 times. His commentary where he just screams profanities, easy S tier for me. I'm saying S tier. Easy S tier. Next up is the PS2 game Pimp My Ride.
Oh, buddy. This game was always in the perpetual state of on the wall at Family Video, and you'd pick it up and you'd go, I'm gonna rent this. And then you'd find something else and you'd go, never mind, I'm gonna play something good. And you'd like walk out with Jack 3 or whatever. And I remember on the back of it, it said, like, design your car, race your car, ghost ride the whip. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? I have to play this. And so I think that this is an A.
An A tier? All right.
I'll
agree
welcome
with
to
you.
my TED Talk.
Just for the fact that you referenced Family Video.
I got really excited when this was on here. Apparently, Pimp My Ride was also hosted by Chamillionaire.
Oh, so it's a host for washed up rappers. Up next, one that I hold near and dear to my heart, Fugitive Hunter War on Terror, a game where you can literally fist fight Osama bin Laden. I think it deserves a B tier just for that.
No, an S, excuse me, an S.
S tier?
S tier. I think this game
is functional.
It's functional, it's playable, it is batshit crazy, and it is just like a cross section of like mid 2000s, like almost like right wing propaganda, but like not like just really like if you turned on the news in 2004 and you saw an ad for this game, you'd go, there's a rapper in it and you punch Osama bin Laden. That's a good game. I should buy that. And so I think that just for being like for historical preservation's sake, that this game is incredible.
I 100% agree.
Excellent.
Continuing with historical preservation's sake, Game Party 2 for the Wii.
What the fuck is that? What? This isn't real.
It is. Game Party 1 was a hardly playable game for the Wii. Game Party 2 stacks onto that. I played this with family before, and it surprisingly holds up in terms of like being able to play with a large group of people. It's not good though. When you play it by yourself, you realize the idiosyncrasies of it, and you're like, this is poorly made, but it's fun. I'm saying B tier.
All right, I'll give you B tier because it looks like we play, but like okay. This game cover does this thing where one Wiimote is in somebody's left hand and one Wiimote is in somebody's right hand, but they're two like the same looking hands, and so it looks like it's this POV shot of like some lonely guy on his couch playing the Wii by himself.
He's playing he's playing cornhole with two hands.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm gonna beat myself today.
Oh, you know, when you're like your brother's at school and you're the only child or whatever, and you're like playing checkers against yourself. It's like that, but with the Wii.
Another one that's near and dear to our hearts, but we've never mentioned that this is near and dear to our hearts. Aliens Colonial Marines. I've beaten this. I have a video documentary of all 8 hours that it took me to beat this game. We have never done a review of it. It has come to light recently that if you fix the spelling of tethered in the code, this game becomes relatively scary because the AI aliens actually follow you. I have a lot of mixed feelings here.
It's so like quintessential of just like listen, I love Borderlands, but like why Gearbox is just shit like a lot of the time. Yeah. And you're just like, what's going on here? And they're like, we're taking all the money that we're getting from Fox and shoving it into our Borderlands project. And everybody's like, okay. Which, and then they're like, we misspelled tethered.
Yeah. Putting that money into Borderlands made Borderlands a better game. I'm only going to assume that it made it a better game. I think that Randy Pitchford had oversold this game to a disgusting amount and made this game worse for wear because of how the original, like, they settled a lawsuit and ended up winning because they're suing, like, or the people that are suing are like just average folks who are like, hey, we wanted a good game. Why didn't you give us a good game? Or the game that you even teased. Why does this game suck? And Gearbox is like, fuck you guys. And that's it. That was the extent of the exchange. I think that because it's a functional game. It's better with a patch that corrects a typo, something that they should have fixed in beta testing.
Yeah, you've been like playing it and you would have been like, oh, this doesn't work. Something's wrong. And you'd go in and look at the code and you'd be like, oh, look, some chuckle fuck misspelled this one word.
I think that just for the fact that Gearbox went and shit all over its fan base by not doing anything to help this game be better makes it an immediate F tier. I'm just pissed at the outcome of it and what it could have been. Where are you putting Aliens Colonial Marines?
I think it's an F. I think it's an F just like firmly just for like the collection of just like armadillos at computers just like walking across the keyboard at Gearbox, like at the Gearbox HQ, and you're like, this isn't how you make games, and everybody's like, what are you?
Randy Pitchford sitting there like, we've revolutionized game making. We have armadillos making video games. Do you know how good they are at making video games? No? Well, let me do a card trick to distract you.
Yeah, you're like, listen, you know what? We made Borderlands.
We got Aquaman. I want to give it the same thing as Charlie's Angels, where it's provided me with enough funny content outside of the game, but this
one's playable.
I don't think so at all.
Really? I thought it was like Superman 64, where it was like it's
Superman 64 is not playable. I want to make that abundantly clear. That game is impossible to play. And I think Aquaman takes after that 100-fold, where they give you 3D access and then they give you fuck all to do with it.
All right, fine. So what are you giving Aquaman?
I want to put it in the E tier, just because there's a lot of content around it that I like. Bad Boys Miami Takedown is a game that I've recently streamed. I recently blacked out while streaming because I took shots to the point, like I took shots every time I died. Every time that they said something like some dumb one-liner, and then I started doing shots for people who donated, and then people started coming to the stream and donating like crazy, and I had already been drinking very heavily because this game is filled with one-liners and boss fights that are like almost impossible.
Oh god. I think that for the sake of your mental health, we give this an A.
I like it. The problem is, it's okay. Like, sure, the voice acting's bad, the writing's bad, but the gameplay is kind of fun, and the idea of it is kind of fun. Just like the movie that it's based off of is like stupid fun. You're not there for like, Citizen Kane. You're there to see Will Smith and Martin Lawrence kick ass and take names. You don't give a shit about anything else.
I'll give this an A.
A? I think it's an A because I think it's a relatively competent game other than bad writing. All right, best for last. I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do with this one, but Duke Nukem Forever, a game that literally went through development hell, a game that I've played and beat. I don't know about you, Evan. Have you beaten this game?
No, I played a lot of it. I remember one time I was grounded when this came out. This is how young we are. I was grounded when this game came out, and I went over to my friend Thomas's and played through it. I played a lot of it there because it had just come out, and I was like, dude, I want to play Duke Nukem Forever, bro. And he's like, it's so good. And then I rented it, and I really hated it. And then I bought it, and I'm in a perpetual state of trying to write a Duke Nukem episode.
The little side shit that you can do in this game, like when you go or in the first level where you can play with markers and you can throw shit around the room, and then you can take the shit out of the bathroom and write on the marker board with it. That's hilarious. That is inherently funny. That is what Duke Nukem stands for.
You know, like when we make videos a lot of the time with other people who don't really know how videos work, they'd be like, oh, what if you did this? And it's like a continuity error or something. And you're like, yeah, that's funny, but like I need to make sure that the production stuff works first. You know what I mean? Like I got to ensure that I have my coverage first. And so I think that that's a big case where they're like, oh, this is funny. And you're like, well, but your game's bad.
Boring. I don't think it's bad. I think it's boring.
Yeah, boring. Yeah.
My quick 2-minute case, it's not 2 minutes, 60-second case for Duke Nukem is that it's a franchise built off of what's popular. So you take the current popular format and you plug in Duke Nukem's witty misogynism that was loved in the mid-90s but now does not hold up at all. And you plug that into whatever is popular, and boom, you get a Duke Nukem game. So this is arguably a good Duke Nukem game, but it's a bad video game because it's just boring. And it's misogynistic and super gross.
Yeah, and it's like, it doesn't, not only does it not age well, it's like those kind of 80s action movies don't really exist anymore in the same way. And so it's like, why are we doing this parody of something that isn't a thing anymore?
I think that since it's functionally okay, it has enough little things, like as weird as the strip club level is, the fact that you can it's like a point and click adventure essentially, I think that's super fun. I think that that's such a neat idea. I want to like this game. There's so much that could have been good with this game, and the fact that it was in development hell for 13 years, switched hands 3 times, changed engines multiple times. I'm gonna give this an A tier because of potential alone and the fact that it could have been good.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
We've agreed a lot on this list. I just want you to know the only big disagreement we had was Fight Club.
It's like we play a lot of video games together.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of these we've shared. The miserable experience of playing these together, but I think that's pretty definitive in terms of the best of the worst. We put ourselves through so much exhaustive, disgusting games. We could be playing. I've never beaten Ocarina of Time. That is widely considered the best game of all time.
There's a lot of really bad games that we just need to stop playing. Yeah, because I you know me, I grew up with Ocarina, and there are still a bunch of Zelda games and a bunch of really good games.
Well, so folks, let us know if you enjoyed this. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening to us scream about these terrible games that we needed to get off our chest. Appreciate it as always. Leave us a sub if you enjoyed our content. Leave us a like if you liked the video. See ya.